welcome to another Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, gentlemen stumbling to and fro, where magical mixtures are made by maidens, majestic moments lie in waiting. Uncle Gary showed up at Mo's actual house instead of Mo's house episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
Who is joining us today?
Joining us this week in not the Days Grimm studio, but Mo's house is Mo from Mo's house. How are you?
Doing great.
What's up, Mo? Thanks for having us, dude. This is sick. Like, I mean, I've been here a lot, so like I know what it looks like, but it's cool to shoot a podcast in a space like this. I feel like that's pretty tight, dude.
Yeah.
That's like one thing too. So like, I guess a little brief synopsis is like, we just got ranked the number 6 art podcast in Indiana.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so like,
Congrats. That's big.
So
big
much.
deal.
Thank you.
thanks. But it's cool to like one, we can have people into the studio, but then two, for like these business owners, like we get to pop up and set up in their business and like showcase it. So it's
Really just invading your space and making you feel as uncomfortable as possible. That's what we try to do.
You're going to have to try a lot harder, for sure.
yeah. So you want to give our listeners like a brief synopsis of who Mo is and what Mo does?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my God.
Dude, I'm like setting a timer.
I was like
and
waiting.
she was
I was
looking at
like,
me, dude. I'm like, bro. Like, well, dude, I don't know.
I am Mo of Mo's house, Moriah Rose for my government-given name there. I've had Mo's house for 7 years now. Kind of owned and operated a couple different restaurants in between there. Had finally just kind of came back to my roots, and as officially as of February, I'm just back here full time. So.
And down here in Haney's Corner, the
Haney's Corner.
Evansville up and coming area, the revamp, I feel like.
Dude, it's been up and coming. It is now. Like, it is just very high functioning
The
now.
Arts District.
Yeah, the Arts District. There's a lot going on down here.
It is. It has been. I mean, I've worked, I feel like, kind of all over Evansville, north side, west side, east side, all over the place. And there's nothing like Haney's Corner. Corner has been my favorite area to be. It just feels like home kind of thing. So
Nice, dude. And I have to compliment you on your sleeve as well. Like, I'm just now starting mine, and I'm going all traditional as well. I'm very excited about it.
shout out to Jeremy Galloway up in Bloomington. He's from Evansville, but he is incredible.
No shit. Okay, so I'm doing the Kloss brother, or they're not brothers. Kloss at Revolution Inc.
Yeah.
So
All mine's been Richard Halt while we're shouting out.
I got
to
a Richard.
artists.
I got a Richard one on there.
Ryder crushes. Shad didn't want to do it because he was like, yeah, it's not really my style, because I wanted traditional and dark lines and the bold shading and all that stuff. And he was like, I wanted the color popping. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to give you to my son. And then I saw his son's work, Ryder's, and his lines are just so clean. And like, I just started, so we're almost totally done with the top now.
You got a freshie on there.
Yeah,
He's got like
and there's
three.
a corn cob back here that you can't really see. It's still nice and juicy.
That inner arm always feels good.
Oh, dude, he went up in my armpit, dude.
Yeah.
Did you
I
do
always-
armpit for yours?
Okay.
Because it sucks, dude.
Worst spot I have finally tapped in and was like, I'm going to do a back piece. I'm only doing it one time. I had a lot of back issues growing up, so I was like, I cannot stand the thought of just being hammered on my back forever. I ended up going, I think, 3 times. It was 12 hours in total, and I've got a massive traditional eagle on my back. But I got one little eagle claw that hits the top of my ass crack. When I tell you, that is the worst place I have ever been tattooed.
Mine's the back of my neck.
That's sick.
But I always judge people on their elbow tat, and you actually have your elbow like done around versus people that avoid it.
Miss the inner part. The elbow wasn't bad. I was talking about that yesterday. I was like, as soon as they hit the elbow, it blows up like a tennis ball, and it was like, you don't actually really feel anything. It's just huge.
It like swells
it's
up.
so swollen. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
So mine, we did a dagger, so there's going through, but I think we're gonna do filler.
Yeah.
Through
it.
that spot.
That's
Or I
cool.
was thinking about, because it's a military homage tattoo, so I was thinking about like putting kill 'em all in that little space,
that.
like have him write it across the gap, basically. Something like that. But dude, am I doing okay over there? You look concerned. You're like leaning in.
I'm just trying to check camera.
Yeah,
you know,
I get it,
since we
dude.
had those issues.
I'm stressed
paranoid.
right
And then
now.
you got
Don't-
me who just is like,
I'm sweaty, dude.
totally zoned out there for a moment.
No, man. So, have you seen any of the episodes before of the Days Grimm?
I have not.
So, dude, love it. I love it when we get a guest that has no idea what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this little treat called the Death of the Week. Now, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna talk about some unfortunate way in maybe kind of a funny way that somebody has died, and then we're just going to kind of laugh a little bit about it. So without further ado, Tom, are you ready?
Yeah, there's going to be no music.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll get it. Well, there will be music. So here we go. Without further ado, this week's Death of the Week.
The Death of the Week.
Okay, this week's Death of the Week brought to you by Fox 26. What's the website here, Chief?
Fox 26.
Fox26.com. I can't really read that far. By Damali Keith, and this was published May 29, 2024 at 6:27 p.m. Houston weather. 16-year-old construction worker dies in storm. Co-workers share what happened. Moving on. In Magnolia, Texas, several investigations are underway after a 16-year-old died in Tuesday's storm when the house he was working on caved in on top of him. It was there in Magnolia where the wild weather turned deadly. In addition to the Magnolia Fire Department, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, OSHA, and the U.S. Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division have teams at the site looking into exactly what caused the house to collapse, killing a 16-year-old who was there working when the wicked weather hit. It's difficult for the teen's co-workers to continue construction today knowing someone's child died here.
See, and I don't like this article when it says that because it's like, it sounds like they went to work the next day. You know what I mean?
They moved his body and they were just like, somebody get
We're
the kid.
on a deadline.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Tara, hold on. There's a quote. Tighten up. All right, hold on. Quote. Yes, it is because we are fathers too. I'm sorry for that family, end quote, says one worker named Hector.
This continues with my point that any handyman actually had a father.
Yes.
It was just a summer job for the 16-year-old working construction, building new homes in Magnolia, and he lost his life doing so. His co-worker, Jesus Altamirano, says when they realized the teen was missing, they telephoned him and could see his phone screen lighting up deep underneath the rubble. It was Alvarado who gave the tragic news to the teen's father, who was also working nearby. God, that's horrible.
Damn it.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah, wait until you read the next line.
Oh my God, this is not getting good. Okay, another quote. Telling his dad what happened was the worst part. I told him. The man just fell there. He started kicking and screaming, end quote, says Altamirano. Quote, it's something I can sympathize given the fact that I have kids that are starting to approach that age. You want them to go out and do the right thing and go work and start being members of society, and it's unfortunate, end quote, adds Captain Brian Perry with Magnolia Fire Department. Dude, I don't know if we can go much farther on this. I'm not comfortable.
What a rough way to go.
I'm not comfortable anymore, man. I'm getting uncomfortable.
Well, and what that article doesn't show, that another article that links to the exact same storm and story from another source
In Magnolia?
is that like 3 houses collapsed that day.
Oh, shit. So it wasn't like a freak occurrence.
Right. It wasn't just one house.
Yeah. Multiple.
To be fair, though, like, why are you working in a storm?
Yeah.
Hey, my dad was a storm chaser growing up, and we watched the Weather Channel like it was Sports Center of like draft day. So when hurricanes and different, natural disasters were hitting, it was like him loading everybody up and getting on the road and going. So
Brian grew up in a trailer, and so he gets off on tornadoes.
Oh, yeah.
And the other day when that E3 came through, and like I was listening.
Did you see it?
So in Henderson, there was a video of it like coming through over the Ohio and hitting. It looked like it was like right over Dogtown, and then kind of took off.
Yeah, that's where it was.
It was rowdy boy.
Yeah, E3, pretty large tornado, and it actually crossed over my the road I used to live on in Posey County. So shout out to the folks in Posey County. Nobody dead yet that has been recorded. You
As
guys,
I was listening to it, they were like describing the tornado, and it all sounded like innuendos to me. And I was like, I could just picture Brian right now just getting a little chubbed up listening to all these innuendos.
Oh, dude, I do.
About
So that's one thing he was trying to like lead to. God bless you. That was one thing he was leading to, is that like I'm a big storm guy.
Yeah.
I love storms. I'll lose 4 hours on tornado videos on YouTube.
I've seen a funnel cloud when I was young. One had hit in Henderson, and my dad and I were like, yes, like we were outside. We were so excited, and my brother and my mom were like terrified, screaming and yelling at us, "Get in the basement!" And it actually ended up hitting in like Zion part of Henderson County there, and tore up quite a few homes. But it was like, there's nothing like seeing one like
it, dude. And I'm so bummed. Okay, so I live up by Mater Dei. That's where we record at typically. Yep. So I'm like half a mile north of Mater Dei on Harmony Way. And so for all you guys that want to like stalk us on where the studio's at. But anyway, so I'm like, the storm is hitting and it's about 3 or 4 o'clock. And I like get outside and I just start seeing the rain doing the weird shit where it's it's going this way and then it's going that way and then it's coming right at you. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking tornado. Like, I was getting fired up. I was like outside the whole time, and then it just died down out of nowhere. I was like, this is horse shit. Because it was really like, it seemed like it was going to land on my house. Yeah. Little did I know, it was literally like 20 minutes to the west of me.
That's the interesting part about where we live.
So
there's
wild.
So many bends in the river that
it kind of jumps and
does
pops up.
Real weird shit. You get tornadoes. I think that's the first tornado Posey County's had in a long fucking time. Like in a long time.
During COVID, that one hit out in Newburgh, and
we
had our close-knit little thing. We'd all been kind of like there was like 4 of us at the house just drinking beers, having a good time for the day. And it, like, all of a sudden, all of our parents started calling. We're like, what in the world's going on? And we answered. My mom was like, get in your bathroom now. And we walked out the front door. I'm like, it sounded like a freight train.
Yeah, that's what they say. It sounds like like a train.
Oh my God, that thing is like right beside us. Like,
I've seen one before, but I was so little I don't remember the details. But I remember my dad had left work at Berry Plastics to pick us up out of the trailer, and then we just jumped in a ditch. Yeah, like while driving, because we were leaving the trailer to go. I think he was taking us back to Berry to be safe. Yeah, and then on the way back to Berry, we like stopped and just jumped inside of a ditch. And that's how I know that's what you're supposed to do. There's several scientific experts that say that's the best bet. You know?
So, Mo.
Oh, but that was this week's Death of the Week, brought to you by Fox25.com, I think. All right. Anyway, Jesus, tighten up over there.
That Reagan or the Zingerman, whatever you want to call it, the Ronald Reagan is
your play on words.
Nicotine's biting the throat.
I got you.
But Mo, you got 270 area code. You've mentioned Henderson several times.
Yep.
Were you born and raised?
Thoroughbred, baby.
What high school did you go to over there?
There's only one, County, which everybody says, you went to jail? It's like, no, but it's a huge high school. I think we started with 600 kids in our graduating class. There's 2,500 students there.
There's 2 schools there.
Oh,
Isn't
they
it
have
Atlas?
4 units, and it's
Atlas or
it's
what?
like 4 high schools in one. It's huge.
I thought there were 4 different high schools, or like 2 different high schools at least.
Well, 600 kids in your graduating class. What's that, 4A? Is it a 4A school?
Question. I actually don't know that.
No, that gentleman, Kroger. No, he's not from Henderson.
The grocery store?
No, the gentleman who got electrocuted and wrote that book because he's missing his hands.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Kroger. Amazing book, by the way. An amazing gentleman. He's not from Henderson. Where the hell is he from? Might be Owensboro. Damn, maybe that's what. So Henderson only has one high school?
One high school. We got 2.
Damn, dude.
I mean, there's 2 grade schools, north and south, and then they've got Holy Name, which I was a Catholic school kid, so went to Holy Name for 9 years before I went to Henderson County.
So what was it like growing up in Henderson?
I mean, I had a blast growing up. My grandparents, on my dad's side, they were always kind of entrepreneurs, and they called my granddad the Tomato Man. So he would have like fruit stands on the side of the road, and by the time I was like 6, working a cash register to like dial back change to people. And so it was like, we always were doing stuff like that. My granddad was super into horses, and so he raised me on like driving wagons and buggies, and he'd pull me out of school, and we'd take off, what would be a 30, 40-minute trip down the road somewhere south.
Yeah.
And we'd get on a horse and it'd take we'd spend 4 days to get down there and back riding horses.
That's
so
cool.
It was like,
Can you bump me just a smidge? Sorry. I hate to
Yeah. What was like? Did you play sports through school?
I did. I played all the sports. Grew up, I wanted to be a ballerina so bad, a ballerina and a gymnast. And turns out I was just massive. Like, I was done growing in the 5th grade, so I was a very tall female.
So they were
Oh, you were this tall in 5th grade.
I was done growing in the 5th grade.
Were you like playing basketball or anything?
So I wanted to be the ballerina, and they were like, just please come stand on the end of the basketball court. Like, please just stand there. So I ended up getting into basketball, and I played softball, basketball, just all different kinds of things. Volleyball ended up being like my main sport, and I played that all the way through up till high school. Did traveling volleyball. Thought that I would play it in college, and in college I took way too many hours.
So where'd you go to college?
I was a hilltopper, baby. Western Kentucky University.
I know so many WKU grads. It's literally blowing my mind.
Well, I was not a graduate.
Oh, you didn't graduate?
No.
Sick, dude.
No, I
Nice.
did not. I actually changed colleges 3 different times. I had gone to school thought that I would end up in New York City as a textile photojournal. I was a textile and photojournalism major. Thought that I would be a fashion photographer in New York City.
Okay,
It was like my favorite thing to dress all my girlfriends up in weird outfits and take the pictures. And
I dig it.
I thought that's what I would be doing. Did not end up doing that. Was spent a year and a half at Western, and I was like, I have got to get out of here. I'm going to drink
like
myself silly over here.
That's like a big ag school, right? They got like a huge ag program, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're not wrong.
And they got a really great football team put together down there, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But yeah, WKU's dope. What were the other 2 schools you went to?
I ended up going to the community college in Henderson, and then I'd always wanted to go to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and I did 2 quarters through their online course at SCAD for fashion, basically. Through that whole time, ended up serving, cocktailing, like doing those kind of things. And when I was 18, my senior year, my dad he damn near died, woke up, and he was like, I've always wanted to own a bar.
Jesus.
He got sick down in New Orleans cleaning up after Katrina, and it damn near killed him.
Dude. God bless him.
I went to New Orleans after Katrina.
It's
and
wild.
I was in middle school, and you go across that bridge. It's long as fuck.
Yep.
It's the longest bridge in the continent.
It's
of
not the
United
money-saving
States.
bridge.
No,
But
you go across
that one costs
it.
money.
We went across it, and I remember we were gutting a house, and there was like a crack house across the street, and some cops busted people coming out, and they made one dude take off his shoes and everything, and they let one guy go, and after the cops pulled off, he took off his shoe and pulled a baggie out and put it back in his pocket or whatever, and I was like,
New Orleans is a wild place. I'm going in a week. I'm very excited about it. So.
There's a comedian.
You going to the French Quarters?
Oh yeah,
There's
we're going for Tales of the Cocktails.
There's a brick oven place in the French Quarter, and they have pizza that's gator meat and all kinds of crazy.
Ooh,
so good.
I like that.
Hell yeah.
There's a famous comedian who made a joke. I love this joke so much, and that's the only reason I'm going to bring it up. There's a joke, and I think it's Tom Segura. I could be mistaken on who the comedian is, but I think it's Tom Segura, and he says, "I'm all for building the wall." Like the Trump wall.
Yeah.
Very funny. He's like, I'm all for building the wall, but I think we should build it around the entire state of Louisiana. He was like, have you seen these swamp monsters that are walking out of the state of Louisiana?
Yeah.
He was like, am I supposed to feel bad that Katrina came through and gave you a much needed bath, you disgusting Creole people? And it was like, he goes so hard on these poor Louisiana people that just got devastated. And this joke came out 2 years after Katrina. And he was
was still in shambles at that point.
Literally what they did was they built
left.
walls along the highway so you couldn't see the destruction, and they rebuilt downtown to get the money.
But honestly, though, who builds a city below sea level? Fucking figure it out, dude.
I don't know.
Fucking tighten up.
So, Mo, your dad builds a bar
He
when you're
did.
getting out of high school.
It's called it's on deck now. It's still over in Henderson.
Oh, nice,
and
dude.
It was a beer and shot bar. The first 3 months we were open, we were the largest Budweiser distributor in the state of Kentucky.
Oh yeah, that Bud
Did
Diesel.
you explain and shop bar?
Shot.
Oh, and
beer and shot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Beer and shot.
So we
bar.
had no
Nice.
refrigerators. It was just everything in ice wells, pulling beers out of ice buckets like all night long.
Dude, I like
and,
that.
Yeah, the Clydesdales brought us a case of Budweiser.
They used to do that on Franklin Street.
Yeah.
Did
The
you know that?
Clydesdales?
The
They
Clydesdales
used
brought a
to
case of
on
beer.
Franklin Street. They would load up a cart with beer, and they would drop beer off at every bar on
Hey,
Franklin
take
Street.
note, working distributors.
Yeah.
Tighten up, dude. Y'all need a couple of fucking
These
Clydesdales, dude.
It was cool.
Dude.
It had the Dalmatian, the little drivers. They come
That's
carrying off the
so-
case of beer, and they were like, "Thanks for being such a big
that's hot.
Budweiser distributor."
Do you
hot.
think from like your grandparents being entrepreneurs and your dad opening the bar and like you having a passion for like just
Oh,
the
yeah, I got
atmosphere?
stuck. Yeah, I got like, and it wasn't, I say I got stuck. It was just like, I actually really enjoy this. Like, it was always so fun. You're always meeting new people. No telling, where it takes you. I waited on a guy one night, and the next night, he was like, meet me around the back of these tour buses. And I was sitting front row Elton John. Like, it was like, what is happening? Like,
Bro, we were
I
just...
served you a cheeseburger, and now it was just like,
we were
it
just
was-
talking about the band that just came through today.
Yeah.
Early
Early
Days.
James?
Early James.
Yeah.
Early James just came through, and they're like big as hell.
It was
and
cool
like,
when I got into photography and started like photographing. I'd just show up to like Casey's Timeout Lounge, right?
Yeah,
and
dude.
I'd bring my camera in, and they were like, "You want to get on stage and photograph these people?" And then I'd go to Marina, and Hinder's playing, and I got to go after taking photos of Hinder on their tour bus and like do shots and hang out
Yeah.
and party with Hinder. It's like
you never know where it'll take you.
had to
We were,
but
was
it's
that my first bar that
Yeah.
I had opened here?
yeah.
So-
Your first bar.
I had worked at Reraw, left Reraw, went and was like so stoked to do the 10-man thing. Worked at 10-man. Was not my cup of tea. We'll just say that.
Can we expand on that? Okay, and the only reason I ask you to expand on that is
Yeah.
because Tin Man is really, they're not like a bar anymore.
well, they had a cool concept.
They are
The concept was incredible.
They are making beer still, I believe, somewhere. But
I don't know if it got
Well, why-
sold or who is
why
making it
why
now.
wasn't it your cup of tea? Could you just,
I mean, like you said, the concept was great. They had an incredible team of designers that made that. Matt Wagner and Aaron Tanner here in town. You remember the billboard that was like, "You will become one of us," and it was holding the like. That was so badass. I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I want to be one of those."
cult, bro. I'm in,
Yeah.
dude.
And I love they had the like giant community table in the middle to where
Yeah.
if you didn't have like a party to party with,
Yeah.
you could sit at this table and it was just like meeting new people and conversing over
like
whatever.
what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
What was I think Tin Man was an incredible idea. I do not think Evansville was ready for like what it was.
I agree.
Like when Pangea opened, it was like a community or like a cafeteria style thing. They were not down with that when it first opened to the thing. Like Gunslingers barbecue was in there. You had to get your own food.
Like
There were
all a la carte type shit.
A lot
yeah.
of kinks to kind of work out. And
Yeah. And
I
I
was-
don't kink shame, just for the record.
No, yeah.
No, we've had people in our comments say that I kink shame, and I don't. Just so we're clear, I don't kink shame. If you want to dress up in a furry outfit,
that's the only kink I
that's
do
fucking
shame.
tight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
furries.
yeah,
I've seen
dude.
a lot of furries
But
lately.
dude, okay, but you were saying they had a lot of kinks to hammer out.
A lot of kinks to work out. And I had just been in a bar scene for so long that they were like, I mean, you seem to know what you're doing. Would you want to manage this place? I said yes. And I was like, this was a terrible idea. So I did that for like 2 years and was ready to go do anything else after that. It was just like
And this
such
is
a fun
before you opened this bar.
before I opened here.
Okay.
So I had, when I tell you I was ready to leave, like I was messaging old friends and was like, "You got a position to clean toilets at the hotel that you're at?" Like I did not care what it was. Like I was just ready to go.
I will say my grandma lives like a block up the street. We
Yeah.
used to walk to this Haney's Corner Bodega
Yeah.
or whatever it is
Yeah.
right here. And like just seeing this building, I don't know what it was before Mo's house, but like just this dark building on the corner.
Had
And then,
bars
like,
all over the windows.
When
and-
you first opened, I came here with Gretchen Irons. I was doing drone footage.
Shout out to Gretchen
for-
Irons, dude, crushing.
I was doing drone footage for 44 News.
yeah.
and we got to come in and see. And you actually didn't have the back half of the building open.
Nope.
And it was just the free pool table, I think you actually had leather couches and stuff at the time.
Very Motley Crue, very, I dig that. Yeah.
And it was just like such a dope atmosphere. And I'm big on like, basically I like, not saying this place it's definitely not a hole in the wall anymore, but like I love these little tuck off bars that like I can go to and none of my main group of friends go to. You know, it's like that hide off that I love those type of bars.
Fidel's is a good example down the road here. I know like so many of my friends that love bourbon and cigars and they've never been to Fidel's. And I'm like, do you know what I'm talking about? And they're like, I've never heard of Fidel's. And I'm like, dude, it's like the spot. You know what I mean? Like, and this is a lot like.
Do you go back to your roots of your dad's bar with the fact that you guys don't serve food here?
We've got in Indiana, you kind of got to serve a little bit, so we do like the dip thing kind of here. But yeah, I mean, that always was like. I mean, that was so fun when he opened that. It was like me and all my best friends and his sister, my Aunt Dana. We all ran the kitchen. Like he had taught one of my other best friends to barbecue, and she was like cooking barbecue with my dad, and like it was just a motley crew of like, the bear is like the thing now that everybody's watching, and it's like that is like such an accurate thing of like how close you are to these people.
What's the bear that you're talking? Can you search bear real quick?
Yeah, the bear
like
on
bear meat. Like bear meat?
No, like
have you had bear meat?
I haven't had bear meat.
So good.
Not that I know.
I brought Brian some ground black bear a few years ago.
Oh, it was so good. Can you look up what she's talking about?
Can
you look up the bear?
It's on
what is the
FX or whatever, but it's like the new kitchen show.
Oh, it's with the guy from
Maddie Matheson and
it's the guy from
Shameless
Shameless.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Will you click one of those pictures? I think I know this gentleman.
Yeah, he was in Shameless.
Well, hottie, baby.
He like fucks all the time in Shameless.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you what. If the bear doesn't work out for this gentleman, he could be an adult actor for sure.
Yeah.
He puts that.
It's working out.
He puts that vibe out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like
Season
for sure.
3, there. I mean, but yeah, the whole
dude,
the whole
she's
thing.
Like, yeah, dude,
like,
fucking, he could. For
brings
sure.
you to the thing of like how the camaraderie that like in the industry, like what it feels like. It's like just it's hard to get away from. But before I opened this, I had the Blue Bar. I had worked with a fella named Jason Watson at Liquor Locker, and he was one of the friends that I reached out to that day and was like, whatever happened to that Italian restaurant you were going to open? And he said, we open. I hadn't talked to him in like a year. He said, we open in 3 days and I don't have a bartender. And I responded back, hire me and you won't regret it. They hired me on the spot. I went and met Scott Shimmick, who it's Sauce, the Blue Bar at Sauce.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was like, I'd also gotten in a little bit of legal trouble. I'd had a terrible car accident and basically got a DUI for having weed in my system. And
what? A DWI.
A DWI. And I did 2 years of probation. And so I was like in trouble, was just like constantly like, once you're in the system, it's definitely not easy to get out of.
Yeah,
so
no, I got a possession charge in the studio driveway.
Oh, God.
Dude, honest to God, no, he did. I was like, hey, man, can you, like, stop by the house? Because I was out of town. I was like, can you just stop by the house and let my dogs out? And he was, like, driving on expired plates. He just picked up an eighth. Like,
it was an ounce and a half. And it was in 2 different baggies because it was 2 different strands. And I was like, oh,
zone on you, dude. But he fucking pulls into my driveway because this cop is riding his ass down Harmony Way and pulls into the driveway.
I was like, I rolled down the window. He's like, can you get out? I smell weed. I was like, dude, I'll tell you where the weed's at as long as you leave that damn dog in the vehicle. You know what I mean? Like,
not trying to get chewed up by a Malinois today.
Let him out.
Pretty pro-German around here, but leave the dog in the whip.
Yeah. You will come to find out through this interview that Tom is very Germanic.
Yes.
Germanic roots.
Yeah, he represents the German community pretty heavily.
Oh, yeah.
And he
Donkey Shin.
And he may or may not have an English version of Mein Kampf. Okay, so moving forward,
so you open Mo's house, and what happens next?
Well, yeah, but that was prior to opening this over there. I was like, we have
at the Blue place,
the Blue Bar.
At Sauce.
I was like, there is 0 place to get a cocktail anywhere in Evansville, like
a decent
cocktail. I was like, you have to drive 2 to 3 hours to go get a drink. And I was like, this is insane to me. So when I was still there, I just like nosedived into learning. I nerded out. Was going to Chicago, Indy, Nashville, sitting at these bars, asking all these huge bartenders at these massive places that are like well known and been open for years.
Yeah.
Just asking questions. What are you doing? What is that? Just so annoying. But they
probably hated you.
They were all so good to me. They literally, and
for
to
real?
this day, they are some of my best friends
really?
that I know from like all over these cities. They were all so good to me. They had a huge part in like getting to like where I was and how I know to do this.
So that begs another question. So let's say that a youngster, let's say they're 25 and they're here in Evansville and they're like, I love what's happening, but I want to do it and I want to do it a little bit differently, but I need to talk to some people first. So then like this youngster comes to Mo's house and they're like, I would like to meet with the owner and I want to ask her questions. And then like they start like, well, what's this? What, I mean, where does the line of like pestering and you know what I mean? Like
it depends on how many people are in the bar.
Yeah.
But how do you draw that line?
It hasn't hit me yet. I always feel like I've been very blessed in how I got here and the story and how I have. So I always like love to share it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it, kind of thing.
Oh like, yeah.
At all. So
yeah.
I had worked there for 2 years. Within year 1, I realized I was like, what am I doing? Like I can totally do this on my own. And I've seen Shark Tank. I was like, I can put together a business plan. When I'd gone to college in the middle there, not the art schools, I had taken a business course and I was like, I can put together like a business plan kind of thing. And I met with probably 6 different investors here in town and they were great. Nothing wrong with these people at all.
This is good. This is good. I have questions about this.
Like, you can put your finger on it. Like, that's just not who it needs to be kind of thing. And
I get that.
There was my very first customers over at the Blue Bar, Strasswigs. They would come in.
Hold on.
That's their last name, Strasswigs. Jack and Alice.
Are these your people?
Strasswigs?
Sounds very German.
I think it sounds very
German.
With the fact that it's got...
You're not allowed to drop that in this episode.
The wig part of it makes me think
fuck up, dude. No, but okay, so the Strasswigs...
Well, they came in, and from day one, they sat down, and I was like, welcome in. They were good friends with Scott, so they ate there like every Friday. And they were an older couple, and he walks in, and he says, well, what's your name? I said, well, my name's Mo. He said, how you doing today? And I said, well, I ain't in jail, so today's a good day. And he was ate up from that point forward. He was like, oh, gosh. And as he tells the story, he left. They had been in the restaurant business before, years and years down the road, or before. And they get in the car, and he said his wife was just like death staring at him when he got in. She said, we are not getting in the restaurant business. He said, you're right. We're getting in the booze business, and one day I'm going to work with that girl. But I always just thought he was some old man blowing smoke up my ass.
And this is Strasswig, right? Strasswig? Yeah. Okay. And this is like Strasswig Senior?
Yes.
Okay.
And so he, within that year, I met with those 6 different investors, ran back into him. He was like, I told you if you ever want to do anything, talk to me. And so I went out, met with him, I think on a Wednesday, pitched my whole plan. He wrote me a check that afternoon. And I was like,
he didn't.
Swear to God.
No.
And I said,
can we talk about the amount? Can you say what
it wasn't to like buy anything, but it was basically just to be like, in my business plan, I was like, I know that if I leave, this is what my bills are. This is what I have to live. This is what I need every 2 weeks.
And you don't have the place. Okay. So investors are interesting, and that's why I wanted to dog ear that and stop here. Not stop here, but this Strasswig gentleman sounds like a hell of a dude. Honestly, somebody I'd like to have a beer with. Is he still with us?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, bro.
And he's 80-something years old, and he can outrun every one of us. It's like he never sits down. I'm like,
we need to not forget to bring his name up when we're done recording today.
For sure.
But my question is, so like, do you, so you don't have a piece of property picked out at this point?
I did have a piece of property picked out. It was not this one.
Okay.
It was not this one.
That's important. That's important. Okay. So you do have a piece of property and you're thinking buy or lease?
The guy,
I knew
the guy that had it, and it was probably going to be a lease situation.
Okay. So you're thinking lease, and you're like, all right, I know this guy personally is probably going to be like $5,000 a month or whatever. So what did he say? He just like wrote you a check for like the first 6 months or something?
He's a numbers guy. So it was like, basically he was like, until we can figure out what we want to do, like, here's a check to basically get you to work, like, to work on this project kind of thing.
Wrong business, brother.
Well,
I'm in the wrong
It was funny.
business.
He handed me that check and I said, okay, well, now what? He said, well, it wasn't my idea, so you figure it out. And I was like, okay, I need to buckle up now because I don't know what I'm doing.
Roger that,
at
dude.
all.
Roger
and
that.
So I had another building picked out. It was much smaller. The whole premise of this thing that I pitched was a cocktail bar with 30 to 50 seats, and it was me and another bartender that worked 5 days a week. That was it.
That
I
sounds
just wanna
terrible,
take
by
a
the way.
side
That
note.
sounds so terrible. You're like, it's just me and one other person. We're working 9 days a week.
Well, that's what I did over there at the Blue Bar. I was the only bartender, and I did it for 2 years, worked 5 days a week, and it was amazing.
But side note on this cocktail-esque trail we're going on is like, it's so cool to me that you find these like, not necessarily just off the mainstream, like the tequila old
Tequila
fashioned,
Sunrise?
or the Paradise.
Yeah.
You know, like you're staying up to date on all these.
It is constant.
Can we talk about that for a second? How dumb I was. Where
With
she
the
was
Paradise.
like, yeah, for the interview. I was like, what can I order for you? And you were like, I would love like we do this drink called a whiskey and a Paradise. And I was like, oh, like a whiskey and then like a paradise that you would shoot.
That is the name.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so, and then we kind of fiddled around for a little bit doing some stuff around
You
here.
hit him.
And then, and then I was about to go get drinks for the interview. And then I was like, it's called Whiskey Pair of Dice, right? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, and then Tom said something and I was like,
Whiskey Paradise.
oh.
He's Catholic, so he uses the term fiddle a lot.
You're not wrong, dude. But dude, I'm so dumb that it took me like 40 minutes to understand the name of this beverage.
That's all right. We'll get you there.
Yeah. So, you know, and you were born in Henderson.
Born and raised.
Born and raised in Henderson. And I was
Yeah.
born and raised on the county line out here on the west side. So,
Yeah.
like, I made the joke earlier that we're essentially the same person.
Yeah.
I think your people are probably just a tad bit classier than us.
No.
We're still drinking like
No.
we're still drinking like creek water out
Yep.
there. You know
I
what
grew
mean?
up drinking water out of a well and a hose. Like,
Dude,
So
oh,
I just
good.
want to, like, Mo's House opens, and like I mentioned before, it was only this first half the bar.
yeah.
Did you end up buying Boca and the other bar before you
After.
expanded?
After.
Oh,
after
you
you
bought
Well,
expanded?
Boca?
okay. No, that was a crazy timeline.
Hold on. You own Boca as
Not
well?
anymore.
Oh,
I
okay.
did
For a brief period.
For
Okay.
like 2 years. It was like a quick stint.
Okay.
Which is interesting. You mentioned, so like photographer background here. The guy that originally opened Boca,
Yeah.
Boca's named after the
Nice.
The
camera aspect.
nice.
Which
He's
I
like,
thought.
look at my
Well, yeah,
arm,
I added an
Well,
eye
Boca,
with
yeah.
the Boca in the middle
Hell
yeah.
on my
dude.
arm.
It's hot, dude.
But I was gonna say, like, as taking a photography esque, route that you wanted to go, and like owning Boca, that's got to be like a neat little.
Oh,
snippet.
yeah. I mean, I was just so stoked to like. Sometimes less is more. Like when there were so many of them, it was just a lot that first year.
my wife tells me that same thing every time I put my cutoff jean shorts on.
Yep.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, sometimes less is
Less
more.
is more.
Show
Yeah.
them hamstrings off,
So
daddy.
you ended up getting Boca before you expanded here.
No, I had this one first.
But did you the expansion, the back half?
So I bought this one first. A year later, bought Metzger's. Like 3 to 6 months later, bought Boca. And when we were buying Boca, I was expanding this.
Gotcha. The expansion
I had
is
lost my mind.
super sweet, by the way. I love the back patio. I love the fact that you can buy cigars here and smoke them on the back
Yeah.
patio. One of my favorite things about Mo's house.
I had a question because I don't really think I fully understand the expansion thing. I think I've only been here since it's been this
The
big.
pull-out
Yeah.
door that Devin was talking about,
The wooden one up
that
here?
was the cutoff point when they first opened.
Which side was the...
This was
right-
the original side.
This was the original
Yeah.
side. So that backside is newer than...
The
Correct.
backside, the fella that we purchased the bar from, his name was Danny Baumgart.
Shout
He
out to
lived-
Baumgart.
Baumgart, baby. He lived back there. That was his apartment, and he lived there for 40 years.
Wow.
So
you basically shunned an old man out of his.
No, he lived. So my dad and I, when we finally got the building, that's actually a cool story with how the building came along too. When I left the Blue Bar, I didn't really want. I do feel like there's like this thing when I love to build brands, like the idea of brand building.
Can you help me with that? Because I'm currently building one and I'm not doing a very good job.
I would love to. I would love to. But the less people know, it makes them want to know more so bad. And so it was like, I did not want to tell anybody anything. And started like getting the logos dialed and all that kind of thing. And when we went to, Jack had asked me, because when he had seen the building up there, he was like, there's no way that we're doing this. He was like, if you could have any building in Evansville, what would it be? And I said, well, that's easy. Every single day when I worked there, I told everybody, I was like, one day I'm gonna buy that bar across the street. Yeah. And I said, it's Haney's Corner Pub. And I said, but Danny won't sell it. He said, well, let's make him an offer and see what happens, kind of thing. And he said, okay, well, let's go. So we make an anonymous offer, had like a broker come in and do all of that for us. And Danny was super into like Reiki and kind of a spiritual guy.
I fucking love Reiki now.
He said he was getting in the shower one day and he's like, water carries a lot of energy. And he was like, I was like, testing the temperature of the water and it hit me. He said, I know who I want to buy this bar. And I'd tell Danny every night too when we were over here drinking. I was like, Danny, one day I'm going to buy this bar from you. And he said he got out of the shower and he wrote my name on a piece of paper and he said, that's who I want to buy this bar. Okay. And so the day that we showed up to like sign all the paperwork, Danny didn't know it was me. And when I opened the door, he just like burst into tears and he was like, you are who I wanted to own it. He was like, I know you'll take like, so it makes me emotional because I'm like, it was just so cool of like how it all happened.
I'm
like,
tear jerking over here.
It was supposed to be that way.
And just like day one from the aesthetics, like day one, the aesthetics were on point. And then now with the expansion, it's like even over the tier. I bought fucking lawn furniture that looks like your patio furniture because I was like, I came to Moe's, smoked a cigar outside, and I was like, I need those like pigeon nest, whatever they are, the
egg chairs. It's too good.
And then I have so I did get a little teary eyed there. I'm not gonna lie, and that's why I'm wearing sunglasses. But I do want to ask: is it strange that? So you said water. He's a big Reiki guy.
Yep.
Which he is right. Water carries a lot of energy. It really, really does. But he's like in the shower and then he's like thinking about this thing and he's like, this person's going to. So is it weird that a grown man was thinking about you in the shower?
I've had worse.
Nice. All right. Moving forward.
But what was the first like year like in Mo's house?
So we bought it in January and my dad and I worked for 5 months to like flip it and get it open. Meanwhile, you were like, oh, you just kicked an old man out of his house. And I was like, no, Danny lived with us for 3 of those. Literally, he lived in it was part of the deal. It was like, well, I still got to live there. And I was like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
but we're opening in 5 months.
You can have the bar, but I like to have the boys over for poker every night. So
he was always so sweet. He'd come out and he's like, if I could, because this was his baby. Like, it was like, and I'd like, it was, I always told him it was so beautiful, but it was just so outdated. Yeah. Like, it was just, it needed some updating. And he was like, if I could make a suggestion. And I was like,
that's where I knew this was going.
Like,
here we go,
dude. But Danny was great. He was so good to me, like always helpful. And I spent hours with him, following him around, recording him, telling stories of like how it was and why the building looked the way it was, because it was just like 10 years ago. 15 years ago, it's where you came down to get your like hookers and blow. Like it was like a totally different. It was the Wild West down here.
I used to joke about my grandma's house 2 blocks away. I was like, your front house is this nice, like the front yard's this nice historic community, and your backyard's crack houses.
And to be fair, it kind of blows that the art district has blown up the way that it has, because now you have to go all the way to Fairs Avenue for that stuff. But that being said, I think it's interesting. So the one dog ear that I wanted to make is that you were recording some of the things that you were asking Danny about. Yeah. Like how? Were you recording it like audibly?
Like on a phone?
Or like with video?
With my phone. Yeah, with a video.
Do you have any of that still?
I have every bit of it.
No, you don't.
Swear to God.
Can we like splice a little in? You know what I mean? Could you send it to Tom?
It's long, but I'm sure we can get it worked out.
It'd be cool. And I think what's really cool to me about like Evansville necessarily is so like it's got this rich historic value to it.
Like money?
No, just like we built warboats for World War II here. You know,
dude,
we got
you're
the
welcome.
LST downtown.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we won the war. Evansville was the notch in the belt. But no, there's just so much rich history here, and it's so cool to see some of these new business owners, even though you've been a business owner for 8-10 years. It's so cool to see like some of these business owners that still hold on to that value. My grandma's house, like I mentioned, 2 blocks away, was the old Sterling brewery that they used to brew Sterling beer, which is now
Sterling, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, it's cool to see, like, you know, just like business owners keeping the history of these buildings alive.
Yeah. It was cool. This place was built in the 40s, and a man named Marsalis Kiefer, which it always sounds like Pulp Fiction character that I'm throwing
It does,
out there.
dude. Marcellus Wallace.
Yeah, I was like, Marsalis Kiefer. He had a grocery store here. It was like a butcher shop, and when we bought it, there was like this drain that was this big thing in the backyard. We're like, what is this? And Danny was like, that's the blood pool. It's where they would like slaughter the animals to like freshly cut the meats.
Hell
and,
yeah.
Like, I'm like, different thing, but Marsalis, whatever pool he had when it was built, the whole building is built out of steel, and there was a major steel shortage when it was like happening. So it was like all of our beams and everything in here. If there was a tornado, Mo's house is the safest place.
That's what I was gonna say, dude.
And,
Shout out to Posey County, man. They really survived one. But like, if one came through here, you guys are good.
Good to go.
Another
good to go.
ADHD off the question or off the beaten path here. Out front, you have a Mo's Medicine.
The medicine wagon, baby.
And what whiskey, salt, lye, you know, is the medicine
Laudanum.
of the old days.
Laudanum.
But like, what will you give us a brief synopsis about what that is?
Yeah, it's a full cocktail bar on wheels. And funny story about that thing, I would have never. I mean, it's cool to have like a catering. We have a catering license, so it's like awesome to be able to take that out and do the catering gigs. But the day that I met with Mr. Straswig, and he wrote that check. The only stipulation that he said, he was like, we can do anything you want, but we're getting a liquor trailer. That's what I want. And I was like, whatever you want at this point, let's get a liquor trailer. And so we had that thing built from ground up, and it's been great. That's so funny. Weddings, events.
It's so great that you're like, your whole plan is like, I'm going to build this super tight bar, right? Like the aesthetics are going to be wild. It's going to be great. The whole thing, foundation here, stationary, not moving, this thing here. And then Straswig is like, I don't really give a fuck what we do, but you're going to have a trailer with liquor in it. And I swear to God, if there's not a trailer, I'm like, dude, all right, bro, whatever you want, dude. Whatever you want.
That was his only thing he asked for. I was like, well, hell, we'll have a trailer. Like, yeah,
all right, we got a trailer with liquor in it now. So,
well, you had asked about year one after that 5-month mark when we finally got our doors open. You want to talk about terrifying? It was like,
what do you mean?
Oh God, it was like, will this work? Like there's somebody that just invested like damn near $1 million in me. Like, will this work? Like, I hope so.
What happens if it doesn't? You know what I mean? I know you're laying in bed at night, like on day 3, and you're like, "What if it doesn't?" You know what I mean?
I had sleep for 5 months.
What were your like contingency plans? Like, is that something that, or were you just like all in on like?
I mean, you have those thoughts, but in my mind, it was also this thing of like, not working isn't an option,
right?
Like it has to work.
Yeah.
Like it has to work.
That first 5 years, well, even now, like I feel like every time I come in here, I see you working behind the bar. It's like that grind does not stop. I feel like that's what a lot of people that want to get into the entrepreneurial business don't realize is like, yo, you're getting out of a 9-to-5, a 40-hour work week, and you're signing up for a 60 to 80-hour work week. 100%. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
And you know what that does? My favorite thing about that, like you being here and like nose of the grindstone with the people around you that, you know, the team that you have. We mentioned, or no, we haven't. We need to mention Devin.
Oh, yeah.
Devin from Heaven.
Behind the bar. Fucking crushed it. While you were finishing up your lunch with, I already forgot the name.
Early James.
James. God, I'm so trash. But you were finishing up your lunch with Early James, and Devin was so great to like help us and like help us move stuff around, and like she was just really, really helpful. But like when people like Devin see you grinding and like busting your ass, not just like making connections and making phone calls and like paying bills, because they don't give a fuck about that. They don't care about that.
Yeah.
When you're here, they're like, this lady's here to fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
people ask about like, how is it being a boss? And I'm like, I don't actually love that term at all. Like, at all. I was like, I wouldn't ever ask them to do something that I wouldn't do. And it was like, you know, I kind of have to lead by example, but it's like, I have an incredible crew here. I have like, always have. They've always been just so good to me. John Raleigh, day one of opening, before we even had the building, anything, I said, I've got this crazy idea and I want you to be a part of it.
Love his mustache, formerly worked at Sportsman's.
Who is it?
Formerly, yeah, John Raleigh, you got him?
The guy with the mustache that used to work at Sportsman's.
is that not Dar?
No, it's not Dar.
There was another big, tall.
I only know
bearded
Dar
man.
with a cool mustache.
John ended up coming here, but he was my youth leader growing up.
Oh,
and
nice.
So him coming on, he was like, I'm not that kind of bartender. And I was like, man, it's just a different circus. You got to learn the show. I was
What
like,
kind of bartender did he think he wanted you to?
Well, I mean, coming from Sportsman's to like, I was pushing for like classic cocktails and like doing that whole thing.
Okay.
He was like, man, I don't do that kind of thing. And I'm like, I think you do. I think you should. Like, and he came on, he's been here from day one. And, you know, it was funny. He came in, stopped in one time when we were building. He was like, can I do anything to help? I was like, yeah, go in there, rip up that floor and lay a new one down. And he was like, okay. Like, it's like,
did he do it?
He did it. He freaking laid the floor down. So
what does staffing look like for opening a bar?
I mean, I feel like we started with like 8 people. And we had like everybody kind of in here. We were all like super nervous yet excited and that kind of thing. And then you ask how opening was. It was like the moment the door opened, I don't think it's ever slowed down, like ever. COVID was actually kind of people like COVID was like the worst time ever. And I'm like, it was terrifying. Like you didn't know if you were going to like open back up, but it actually allowed us like prior to COVID, it would be like a nightclub in here, like shoulder to shoulder. You couldn't move.
Yeah. Asshole to elbow.
It was that was not what I intended to like actually open, like
to make that much money.
Well, it just at that point it would get so packed that people actually weren't ordering cocktails anymore. They were ordering like beer and shots, and it was like, I mean, that's cool, but like we want people to drink cocktails. And so when COVID hit, that allowed us to be like, okay, we're gonna reopen, but like, how can we like kind of help control this situation? What we're doing, it was like everyone has to be in a seat. Not joking, our net skyrocketed when I made people sit down.
Well, I'm sure that college opening up downtown kind of helps.
The IUPUI, no, it's not IUPUI. It's IU and UE and USI. Program. It's a collective. I do want to make a pit stop. You did mention the gentleman who you were like, rip that floor out and put a new one down.
John Raleigh.
Papaw,
we call him.
Papaw. God, I got to meet this guy. Wonder if he'd come on the podcast.
Surprised you haven't.
He
met
would
him.
love to come on the podcast.
I bet I have met him, but I only remember Dar's crazy mustache from Sportsman's. But there was another guy that had a large beard.
He had a long beard
and then a crazy mustache.
That's him.
Yeah. I bet I do know him then.
Yeah.
I think I'm thinking of the right guy now. But either way, you mentioned that and you were like, hey, go rip that floor out, put a new one in, jokingly or whatever. You were like, that's how you can help. And then he did it. That made me think, though, like if you're going to open a bar, like say you're like starting this establishment, and like you have a core group of like 6 people, like you were mentioning, and like they like help you build the place. Like there's almost like a stakeholder kind of thing that gets embedded in that person. So when you finally do open doors and their friends come in, you're like, yeah, dude, do you see this bar top? Like I helped put this bar top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
is that kind of what happened? Or
I mean, for sure. I feel like they kind of almost treat it as their own in a sense too. I always wanted to be like, when people refer to a boss, I was like, I just want to be the boss that I always wanted and never had.
Well, I was going to say, how many of those 8 people are still with you?
2? I think 2.
That's still pretty good for like business opening. But I was also going to mention, like on your website, I know Alex Morgan takes a lot of your photos.
Takes a lot of our pictures.
Dude,
and like
is
all
a
of them are
crusher.
Killer. And even like some of your Instagram posts, I know a handful of them are from Alex as well, of like the cocktails or whatever.
Yeah, dude's a stud. Dude's a stud. He's been on the podcast a lot.
He is amazing.
You should check out his
talented.
episodes he's been on.
So talented.
Do we want to do a break real fast?
Yeah, I was actually going to mention, I was trying to find we're at a good spot. You guys want to take a quick pee break?
Yeah,
Yes,
I got it.
I'm going to pee. Do you need to pee? Do you need to pee?
Yep.
I need to pee for sure.
All right, so do you guys want to wiggle out that way? We got a lot going on right here. God bless you. But yeah, so took a little pee break there. So here we go. We're back. But yeah, so Alex Morgan has come here. We were talking briefly about that, about how he has come here and done a lot of shots for you. And it's just really, obviously, I'm a big Morgan fan. He does a lot of great work. Yeah, he does a lot of great work. We've worked with him on Over the Edge. He's been on the podcast numerous times. Just a really, really good dude.
Very talented.
But I was going to say a lot of creatives use this space. Like when we were setting up, some photographers were here.
Surprise proposal is what it was, I think.
Your sister-in-law, Brian, actually has been here a few times to photograph.
Amanda. Shout out to Amanda. She came out here and she did a couple shots with you guys here. But it is I think that would be my favorite thing about owning a bar is that it would open the door to like work with other creatives.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
I mean, photographers, musicians, weddings, like artists that come through. Like,
and you do weddings
constant.
Here?
We've done a handful of weddings, and they are always so fun.
Nice, dude.
So fun. So call if you need a new venue to book your upcoming wedding.
And it's a big space, dude. Contrary, like if you've never been here, like contrary to what you're seeing on camera right now, but like it is a large space. You have a very big outdoor area. You have a huge bar area. You've got this nice little gaming room that we're in right now where there's like a pool table.
Free pool table, center room. It's very nice. Like it's just a huge space,
dude. It is a huge space.
I could see doing a wedding here for sure. Like a, what do you call it when you...
a venue?
No, like when you get married and then you come to the thing after.
Like an elopement.
Like a reception?
Like a reception?
Yeah, reception. That's what I was thinking of. I'm actually real stupid. So, but no, man, this is a really great spot, man. And I think that's really cool you do weddings.
I wanted to touch on like the entrepreneurial side of things. Like you said, your grandpa was an entrepreneur and like kind of etched you towards this way.
Yeah. My dad too. I mean, it was his dad. That was the way he was raised. Like my dad always owned his own businesses. In high school, my job that I worked, he bought me a snow cone shack. He was like, "I'll buy you one business. You figure out how to run it." And I ran it for 4 years. And the 4th year, gave it to my brother and moved over and helped my dad open the bar across the street from the snow cone shack.
That's
so
awesome.
Just like,
so what advice would you give to like somebody that has that entrepreneurial itch?
Go for it. I mean, it's like I've always said, if you just set your mind to it, if you put it in the universe and put enough effort into it, it will happen. Like you are the only person that kind of holds you back. Like it only takes one person to tell you yes. So it's, whatever you're trying to do, it's like, go for it.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of like famous people, like motivational speakers and shit that say like, but it is true where they say something along the lines of like, the only person holding you back is you. Like the only person you have to defeat every day is you. So like when you wake up in the morning and you have a great idea and you're like, or it's been years and you're thinking about opening a bar, you know what I mean? Like you're just thinking about it and you're thinking about it and you're thinking about it. The only person that's going to like not bring this idea to fruition is you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, and it will happen to as much effort as you put into it. So it's like,
exactly.
Depending on how much you want it to like make it happen, it's like, how hard do you want to work for it? You want to work real hard and make it like the coolest thing ever? I mean, I wanted it to be like a thing that I wanted to educate Evansville on cocktail culture. Within 2 years, it was like, I want people to know that we are educators in cocktail culture in the United States. Like, I want people to know who we are, kind of thing. So it's like,
shit, yeah.
Just anywhere we travel, it's like constantly talking, like running into other creatives and just like shooting the shit and other entrepreneurs like, how do you do this? Da, da, da. And it's just like constantly work at it.
I think Evansville. Sorry,
I was gonna say, was there any hurdles you had to overcome to get tobacco sales along with alcohol?
No.
You got a couple stoves over there, dude?
Yeah, I got us 2 stoves.
You got a couple stoves, dude?
Oh,
we're gonna be hanging out for a while, so sorry. Let me
it's
get
Sunday.
one of those.
We got music here coming up.
You can't spark it.
Monty and I don't know who Monty's playing with tonight, but Monty Skelton's in the house this evening.
Shout out to Monty. He's the one gentleman that has not been on the podcast musically that I really am.
Gotta have him.
There's a few. There's Mock Orange. I'm dying to get them on.
Yep.
There's the 3 gentlemen that are in a band that are like huge in Scandinavia. I don't know why I'm tripping on their name right now. I can't remember.
Gojira?
No,
not Gojira.
No, they're like a bluesy rock band. I can't remember their name. I'm so.
Yeah, I know exactly.
They're big. They're big.
Come to me. Alex always takes their pictures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Them guys. I want to get them real bad. And then Monty Skelton, dude. I'm coming for you. Tag him in this clip.
Fun story about Monty. The day my dad opened Big Daddy's is what the bar was called. We opened during Handy Fest, which is like the biggest blues festival around here anyway, and the biggest festival that Henderson holds the entire year. We opened that weekend, and it was just like annihilation. Like nobody knew what we were doing. We had no bathroom doors. It was shower curtains. The inspector was like, "You can't open without shower doors." My dad just stapled curtains to the thing. It was like showers, like they were perfect.
Yeah, good to go.
And so it was just like all us holding on for dear life kind of thing. And I had 3 kids they were my age that we had gone to school with that were in a blues band. And the kid was incredible. His name was Rob Turney. And I mean, note for note, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, like the kid shredded. And he played with a group of brothers that I had were friends with. And this kid walks up and he's like, "Hey man," it was him and a girl. He was like, "Can we jam with y'all for the day?" So Blues Fest is going on. Then my dad had a stage at the bar that was happening. They're like, "Yeah, sure. If you want to get up here and jam."
Yeah.
And so they get up. And the one guy, it ended up being Casey Williams, if you know who Casey Williams here in town. He says, "I've got a guy that you should meet, and he needs to come over here and play. I'm trying to get him over here." And so he calls this kid. Kid comes over carrying, little nerdy dude carrying his saxophone cases and everything else, and
Love a good sax.
gets up, and it's like, okay, this guy's like actually a freak. Like, what in the hell?
Just
Who is
shreds.
this kid?
Yeah.
And it was Monty. And so it rained that whole weekend, and the Blues Fest had to cancel the whole stage thing. And so my dad had the band tinted. People were cutting holes in trash bags and wearing them as like raincoats. They were standing out there listening to Monty and these kids jam. The main stage act walks over, and it's like, I worked the door at that time because I wasn't necessarily old enough to bartend. So my dad said, "If you want to go to college, don't let anybody in here underage. Work this door." And so the main guys walk over, and he was just this like old Southern, just like gangster of a black man. He was like, "Hey baby," he was like, "Talk to Big Daddy." And I was like, yeah, I was like, he's like, we want to play here with these guys. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know how this works. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have enough to pay you to like play. He's like, "No, we just want to play with these kids." And so the main stage act that got canceled came over and played with Monty and the guys that I had gone to school with.
Fuck?
And I looked up, and Monty was playing a saxophone and a clarinet at the same time. And I was like,
Dude
who
is a
this kid?
savage.
And I was 18. I'll be 36 this year. So, I mean,
Yeah,
God,
he's traveling, and for
18 years ago, like,
he's traveling, and for good reason, dude. He is a freaking savage,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, he's hard to nail down, but Monty, I'm coming for you, dude.
very
Coming
blessed
for
in
you.
the creative department of musicians that
Yeah,
comes through
man.
this house. I mean, they fill this place up. First Sunday of the month, second Sunday of the month, and third Sunday of the month, we usually do music. And like last night, we had Early James come through, who signed with the Black Keys, and I mean, he played Friday and Saturday, so it's just like, who knows,
Wow, dude.
what's really happening.
How do you manage all that? Like,
I have an incredible crew because I cannot do it by myself. I mean, there's days that I'm like, what day is it for one, and what are we doing tomorrow, and who's coming this weekend? It's
Who am I
just like,
talking to today?
yeah, the amount of calendars, and I can have 10,000 calendars and still miss something that I'm like, besides filling out permits for events you're doing, and like,
Oh, yeah.
booking these people and getting them all here, and making sure you have the right cable wire that plugs the thing in so everybody
Yep.
can hear them. And
Yep.
it's just like, oh my goodness, it is a lot, but I don't know what in the world else I would be doing. Like,
What do you
this
do you
is-
think just by jumping in and doing it, you were able to like overcome each hurdle as they
Oh,
came
sink
along?
or swim.
Yeah.
Sink or
Honestly,
swim.
it's
And
like-
hey, I'm a fighter, so I'm gonna swim.
It's like with the babies, dude. You just throw them in the river,
Yeah, just-
and you just see if they're gonna make
They'll
it or
flip
not.
over, like,
yeah, they'll
yeah.
be fine, dude. You know they're doing that, right?
I do know that.
They just
It
throw.
is kind of, I mean, they come from
They
in
throw
a belly
babies
full of
in
water,
the river
so
now.
it's like
I know that
Yeah.
was a thing, dude.
they do.
But yeah, dude. So, what do you think your least favorite thing is of through this whole journey? What's your least favorite aspect of like owning a bar or?
I mean, you're always
what I
gonna
mean?
have an asshole, like always, and that is
It's the
always
bad
just
guy.
like that's
Yeah.
the damper when you were talking about like what puts a damper on your thing of like when everybody else is having a great time and you got that one person that's just being like, why? Like what is the point? Like, and we've had a handful of those kind of things.
What's do you think the craziest thing you've seen in your
Ooh, good
like
question.
10 plus years of 18 plus years of bartending. You don't have to say the
You ever
location.
seen like a blind guy on a unicycle or something? I mean,
there's a lot of weird of that. When we first opened, there was this one couple that like they were making out so hard and heavy. It was young kids that
you gotta let them. You gotta respect.
Oh,
it,
they were going at it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And my one bartender, his name was Jacob at the time. He was just like, "Hey!" Like hollering. He was like, "No, that's enough of that." And they were just they weren't paying any attention. And so we're all kind of laughing about it. I'm not joking. 2 seconds later, we look over and he has her hand up her skirt, just like her on this couch. And I walked over and I flicked him in the forehead and I said, "Hey, get out of here!"
God, yes.
No way, get out!
Like a softcore porn intro.
Yeah, I was like, you have lost it. And Jacob was just like, I knew they should be doing that. Like,
of course, the guy behind the bar is like, I knew it. I told you, Mo.
Totally disgruntled. Just like, But I mean, there's been a million things that it's something like every other day that you're like, well, that was weird. Like,
that's a first.
So was there ever a moment on this entrepreneurial journey where you wanted to throw in the towel, and like what pulled you through that moment? We don't necessarily care about the moment itself.
Yeah.
We care more about what pulled you through that dark time.
So I opened this place with my dad. He at the time he'd gotten real sick in New Orleans, and he was very handy, super handy guy. Just mentally was not ever. Had encephalitis of the brain is what ended up happening to him. And when he came out, the doctor said, "Well, he won't ever be right again." We're like, "Well, he wasn't right to start with, so what the hell does that mean? Like, what does this mean?"
Yeah.
And he also struggled with alcoholism, so it was like he was like my best friend and my worst enemy at times, kind of thing. And we had a super close relationship, kind of thing. But I guess it's been 4 years ago now, 3-4 years ago in February. Lost him in a car accident. Went to a doctor's appointment and had a bad little ice patch he hit and slid into his next door neighbor, hit him head on, and he didn't make it out of the car. And that was tough. I said, I still think it's stuff I'm working on. Grief is just a weird thing.
I'm so sorry, by the way.
What pulled you through that moment and kept you honed in on Mo's house?
I mean, I would not have survived it without my crew. I mean, I was gone. I mean, I stayed with my mom for like 2 weeks. Wasn't here at all. I still had Metzger's at the time. Like, it was just, I was MIA from here for probably a year. And it was a rough year. I don't know what, like, pulled me out of it in the sense of, like, it was just, we were talking about religion and stuff prior to that. And it was like, yeah, do we believe? And I was like, I also am a firm believer in, like, past lives. And, you know, your formal body just goes somewhere. Your spirit is, like, still around, kind of thing. And he has visited me so many times in my dreams, like where he's like vividly saying my name or having conversations with me. And there was just one day that I woke up and I was like, he would not be proud of what I'm doing and like not keep kicking. Like at that point I was ready to drown versus keep swimming. So it was just like there was something about, I just woke up and was like, what am I doing?
Do you think Mo's house helps carry on that legacy?
Oh, 100%. Like, my partners, when he passed away, surprised me. I have a girlfriend, Joanne Goodman. She's done a lot of the artwork in here. I've always had his parents hanging on the wall in the back room. So I have my grandmother and my grandfather hanging up there. And when he passed away, my partner and one of my best friends surprised me with his photo. And he hangs up in the wall in there. And so he definitely... That was what made it tough, too, was coming to work. It was like everywhere I turned, it was just like I saw him everywhere because he had just like helped build every portion, at least this side. Yeah. And it was just like, God, it was like tough to be in here for a while. But
after a while, it becomes sweet.
It is. It's like this bittersweet thing of like, oh, you'll see him again kind of thing. It was like the one dream that I did have, this was after he had passed away. Total like stress nightmare. I was in California working at this bar. I had an old buddy that was my dad's best friend's son that ended up out there, that him and I got really connected when my dad died because I knew that he was like really good friends with him. And he came and ordered a Negroni at this bar.
What the hell is Negroni?
It's a gin-based cocktail, Italian gin, Campari, and vermouth. 3 basic ingredients that every bar is going to have, kind of thing. And in this dream, I could not find these 3 ingredients. And to the point that I was like absolutely panicked. And do y'all remember the movie Frequency with like Dennis Quaid?
Nope.
So I get in the dream. I'm like, I need to just go sit down in my vehicle for a minute. And I go like, get in the car. This is one of those dreams you like cannot wake up. I know I'm dreaming, but I cannot get out of this thing. I go sit in the car and I'm just like, take a deep breath. And the radio statics. And as clear as day, my dad goes, I know you're going to think this is weird that I'm talking through you to the radio, but don't worry. Don't freak out. Everything's going to be okay. Well, I immediately panicked. I ran back in the bar. I was like, oh my God.
Like smashing the power button on the radio.
I was telling Lance, I was like, when we got back in the bar, it was just chaos ensuing. And so I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm even going to finish out this shift. I was like, let's just walk back to our hotel or wherever the Airbnb we were staying at. So we're walking back. As we were walking back to the thing, I was like, do you smell that? I was like, I smell something burning. And he was like, I don't know what that is. Well, we get to the house and all of my dogs were laying in a pit, burned to a crisp. And when I walked up on him, I have a little pit bull. He had a hold of a baby goat by the neck and the goat screamed and I woke up and I was like, what in God's name was that? Like,
Sweet Jesus.
What is that? So I tell my mom about this. And this is like a month after I've lost my dad. My mom goes, I think you may need to go see a therapist. I was like, I don't think you're wrong. I was like, I think there might be some layers to that. I was like, I don't know what is going on.
Mama, I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
They're breaking out that
should probably
dream
talk
book.
to somebody.
What does this goat in dog's mouth like?
Dude, what the fuck? That is dark.
That was a rough time. But I mean, you surround yourself with good people. Eventually, you're definitely gonna get picked back up. So I have again, the crew here is just. They're my family. I spend more time with them than I do I don't have kids. My husband's a railroad conductor, so it's like, I'm here with these guys or spend majority of my time with them, and so it's like I love them to pieces. They take care of me, I take care of them.
Good, dude. And then I have one final question on my end. I don't have a good sense of style.
Yeah. You're looking pretty stylish over there.
You went to school for like textile and all that stuff, and do you think you could like get me like dripped up? You know what I'm saying?
I've been on years ago. My mom's mom, my nana, had taught me how to crochet, and
I'm not wearing crochet.
Oh, I've been on a crocheting mission here lately, and I'm on like my 4th sweater vest that I've made people. So you just. Give it a month. I'll send you one.
I'm trying to get dripped up. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have a good sense of style, and I don't think Tom does either, judging by his socks.
Hey, if it makes you comfortable, I feel like that's where it is. I've always been the weirdo that like made my own clothes, and people are like, "She's so weird." I'm like, I like it, so it's like, oh, I'm gonna wear it.
Piss on you guys. No, man. Do you have any last minute questions for the Days Grimm? About the podcast or about Tom and his weird fascination with Germany or me with I don't know.
Were you friends before this podcast?
Yes. Yeah. We were real good buddies actually.
And what made you start the podcast?
It essentially boiled down to Brian and his wife used to do Taco Tuesday every Tuesday. So they would invite this large group of friends over and they would just mass cook tacos essentially. And it would boil down to, the first hour people are eating or whatever. But then like after that, Brian and I were just talking about off the wall shit at this kitchen table. And before we knew it, everybody around the table was silent and they were only listening to the off the wall shit that him and I were saying. And they were like throwing in 1 or 2 lines and we just kept going. And I was like, you want to start a podcast? We both listened to a lot of them. So we saved up money. Bare bones, $500, got the bare basics we needed. Now we're like times 25, 30 times that in equipment.
I don't like to talk about it.
But yeah, like we started it and it's been 3 years now and
coming up on 4. December will be 4 years.
It's been pretty neat. We both like people that have overcome adversity, business owners, people of the arts. And so like to sit down and just to like get an insight in somebody else's life. And it's guaranteed bro time every week.
Yeah, hell
yeah.
The biggest thing that I take away from the podcast is that I really do like to meet folks that do. Who was I talking to? I was talking to who may or may not come on to the podcast. We're trying to lock that in currently, but he's an artist who's internationally renowned, born and raised here in Evansville, Indiana, and then moved to Canada for a little bit, and then he did a stint. He did a stint in Poland on a what do they call it? A residency in Poland. He's done a residency in Guatemala. He's a really great artist. But I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "So why me? Why do you do what you do? Why are you wanting to interview me?" And I was like, "Dude, like literally anybody and everybody that's doing something nice in Evansville, I want to like hit you up and just be like, what are you doing and why are you doing it? How did you start doing it? I want to know the why, the what, the where. And that's what and I've met so many cool people, dude. And it's just really great. And that's probably my biggest takeaway is I get to meet people like you. And I'm like, these are establishments I've been to, I spend my money at. And I'm like, these are things I do. You know what I mean? It's just cool to like get the backstory of like, oh shit, I had no idea that you were from Henderson, Kentucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And after speaking with you for 4 seconds, I was like, she's for sure from Kentucky. You know what I mean? No, but it's really, really cool. That's what I take.
I was going to say, last minute shout outs. Who's got you to where you're at? Who's
upcoming
keeping you
dates
going?
too? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Upcoming dates, shout outs.
Jesus. I always
last
said
couple
if
minutes
I
is all
ever
you.
wrote a book, I was going to call it My Poor Mother because God bless that saint. We all call her Saint Vic. I mean, she is literally a saint, and I mean she has put up with our shenanigans for 36 years now, so I mean God love her. She has definitely pushed me, but I mean the Straswigs, jacking them, I mean it definitely helps to have people in your corner that believe in what you this crazy idea that you have. So I'm like, that's always been a huge thing. And like, I mean the Hubs, I mean he thinks I'm absolutely freaking nuts. I don't know how he puts up with me half the time, but it's I mean he was like, you can do it. You know, I know if anybody can do it, you can do it kind of thing. So, and my friends, I've got killer friends and a crew that just like, again, you surround yourself with good people and you go very far.
Seriously, very, very
man.
Far.
Upcoming dates, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Every first, second, and third Sunday of the month, we have music. First Sunday is usually open mic. Second Sunday, we usually do kind of loops and rhythms. DeCar Baker is on tour right now with Grace Bowers and the Hodgepodge, so it's kind of our music is like shifting a little bit as to who's coming in and doing those things. But
when does this come out, Tom? August 27th. So do you have anything coming up
September?
I do
Big
not
Septembers?
know the dates on it off the top of my head right now, but we will be doing Tiki Week, which is where we flip the whole bar into a tiki bar, and we pumped 60 tons of sand out into the street.
Oh yeah, dude!
It's just a big tiki party, and
dude,
that's always
September.
so fun.
September, I'm ready for it. Tiki time, baby.
Hopefully, it's a little cooler in September.
was last year pretty gnarly?
Last year we did it we had a back lot that we did it in, and it was hot, but it was shaded by the trees, so that definitely helped. But it's been hot.
Just been a beast, dude. That global warming's a real bitch. Dude, so seriously, Mo, I can't thank you enough. You were so kind and generous to accept an interview from the Days Grimm.
Especially for letting us pop up in your place of business.
In your place of business. Like, there are people out here, like, I don't know if they're, like, gambling or, like, doing...
They're rolling dice
dude,
for the paradise.
They're doing, like, yo-yo wars out here or something. But, like, we're just, like, in it right now.
We're in it.
So I just really, really appreciate it. I think there's no better way to do this interview. I've had just nothing short of a blast, and I really appreciate the shit out of you. So thank you so much.
Same. I appreciate you.
Tom, do you have any last-minute questions or comments, concerns?
Shout out to Mo opening another Fempire going on,
Hell yeah, dude. Fempire is a real thing, dude. So if you've not been to Mo's, get down here, check it out. September, Tiki time, baby. But short of that, man, I think this went swimmingly. So another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
My name is Moriah Hobgood, also known as Mo.
Thank you so much, Mo.